Hey y'all! I'm finally posting art videos here on YouTube. Yay! Today's drawing features fan art of Finn from the show ARCANE. He's only a side character, but has some of the most complex designs with all these crazy tats. And I think his design was made so special because he was voiced by the beautiful Miyavi. For those who don't know, Miyavi is a Japanese music artist and also was my childhood celebrity crush. A few months ago, I had the privilege to see Miyavi live. So that's why out of all these sick designs and cool characters, I chose to draw Finn. But also because I seriously couldn't decide, they're all incredible. Now before we start, I'm going to be honest, I did not record the first hour and a half of the process. Sorry, I'm reflecting on it. But I do have these images I saved of progress. As always, I start with a sketch, and then some color blocking and render the face more. And then I worked on the mask and other gold details. It looks so creepy like this. No brows, no tats. Before I talk about the show, if you haven't watched the show yet, the rest of this video will contain spoilers. So if you don't want anything to be spoiled, I recommend you go watch the show, and then don't forget to come back to finish this video. But I warned you. So let's talk about ARCANE. Where to even begin? I knew Riot had great cinematics from their League of Legends and Valorant videos. Their production team is just amazing. The visuals and the audio are so good, so cool, and I was really excited to watch ARCANE. I knew it was going to be good. From the very beginning of episode 1, Riot flexed its animation capabilities. No words were being spoken in the intro except for Powder's singing. It was through facial expressions and body language that we learned of the sisters becoming orphans from the war and Vander becoming their new guardian. Understanding all that through non-verbal communication only just shows how good the animators can work those expressions and movement. One of the visual aspects that left an impression on me was color. Color is very symbolic and provides plenty of information on the setting or character. Just by looking at these colors, you can tell which palette belongs to which city. Piltover is often depicted with bright blue skies, and the council is always tinted in a golden light representing the rich and powerful. On the other hand, the sickly green represents Zon and its residents. Since I'm drawing Finn, who's from Zon, I worked with plenty of greens and yellows for this piece. Of course, to pair with great visuals were some catchy soundtracks. Even if you don't plan to watch the show, I'd still recommend checking out the ARCANE playlist. It's something I listened to while drawing this, and I continue to play it on repeat now. The storytelling is told in 3 sets with 3 episodes per batch. The first set shows us the childhood of the main characters. We learn what sort of environment they grew up in, who the main figures in their lives were, and how their circumstances has shaped their character. The third episode ends brilliantly on a cliffhanger where we see Vi separated from Powder after the family once again gets destroyed, and Powder gets taken in by Silco. This ending scene parallels with the beginning, where Vi lost her parents, but this time she loses Powder, and Powder loses her family and gains a new guardian. Episode 4 continues the story years later, and our main characters have grown older. We learn how things are progressing for each side. Among the second batch of episodes, we learn a little more on the backstories of our side characters as well. And at the end of the 6th episode, it ends on another cliffhanger, where the sisters briefly reunite after spending 3 episodes apart, only to be separated again. While things were steady at the start of the second batch of episodes, the story escalates in the remaining 3. We finally meet Finn in episode 7, though he doesn't stick around for long. And of course in the 9th episode it ends on a major cliffhanger that tells us there will be another season for sure. But overall, despite following the stories of multiple characters, which can often get confusing, I thought the chain of events were easy to follow. If anything, pacing was a bit slow, especially in the middle, but there were plenty of artistic moments to appreciate in the meantime. Finally, I want to mention the character design because I'm in absolute love with the depth of the characters. The development that left the biggest impact on me was Powder's. From the start, they were already hinting at her craziness. You first meet her as a child singing amongst the battlefield, and to me, that singing was her coping mechanism for the tragedy happening around her. In the first 3 episodes of her childhood, Powder was still pretty okay. She grew up without her parents and in Zon where she barely sees the sun, but she's very fortunate to be surrounded by role models. She's got her reliable older sister, Vi, who's got all the attributes of a protagonist, Vander, who took the sisters in and raised them, and is also greatly admired among the city, and the adopted brothers Milo and Clagger, who have their own skill sets. Powder, the youngest and the clumsiest, of course wants to contribute to the family. Throughout the first 3 episodes, Powder keeps trying to help. To me, she's desperate to contribute to the group. She's got a knack for tinkering with explosives, but because she's so young and hasn't perfected her craft, not to mention she is quite unlucky, those explosives end up destroying her only family, literally. And as a result, she is separated from Vi after an unresolved argument, so Powder's left all alone, and of course the one hand that reaches out to her, she latches onto because she's a kid, she grew up dependent, and is desperate to not be abandoned. It did make me a bit mad that she chose to go with Silco after he kidnapped her family and all, but it made me wonder if she's really attached to anybody. In the second batch of episodes, we get to learn more about the other side of Powder, whom they call Jinx. Yet some things don't change. Jinx continues to try to be useful and find her role in the group because she's afraid of being alone and left behind otherwise. So by the third batch of episodes, Powder is conflicted with her identity. Is she Powder or is she Jinx? We see her get crazier by the moment every time she loses someone important to her, and the voices get louder until we start to hear them as well. Finally comes the crucial moment at the makeshift dinner scene where the poor girl has to pick a side. Who does she listen to? Who does she become? But then, because Silco attempts to shoot Vi, Powder reacts and accidentally kills Silco, who, by the way, was another person she considered family. So, her mind just breaks. She officially becomes Jinx, and whatever was left of Powder in her is blown away. Oh my god. Jinx really just lives up to her name in the end, and her story gets more tragic by the moment. Her timing could not get any worse. It's honestly just so sad. So yep, that's the end of my review on Arcane, and if you feel that was very abrupt and kind of a depressing ending, well, that's how I felt at the end of Season 1. Just kidding. But we've reached the end of my process painting, so I might draw more Arcane characters if I'm inspired or need the inspiration, but like I mentioned at the start, all of them being so amazing makes it hard for me to pick just one, because then I want to draw them all. Maybe drop a comment on who you'd like to see drawn next, and that might help me narrow it down a bit. But yeah, we'll see. In the meantime, I'm making more art on Patreon. I've got exclusive patron-only illustrations and whip sketches and videos on there. Otherwise, I've got a ton more art on Instagram. Give me a follow there if you're not already. I'll be making more art vids like this, so be sure to like and subscribe so you can join me in our next video. Thanks for watching till the end. See ya!